Hello everyone, Sheek here with another Transformers review, and today I will not be reviewing Transformers, but a figure that was used for, but for Jetfire, G1 Jetfire, not to be confused with Skyfire, but it was a toy that was released that was originally meant to be Jetfire, but Jetfire, due to copyright issues, ended up becoming Skyfire, and that's another story for another time. But Robotech, or the Macross Saga, is one of my favorite shows. It's probably one of the more popular mecha animes from the 80s. Yeah, I'm sure there's other ones that were very popular as well, but this is the only one that I grew up with. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of variation in the types of mechs, just a lot of them. And this was one of the generic types, but these are for two of the main characters of the show. Max Sterling, or Maximilian Jenius, but they call him Max Sterling in Robotech, and Milia Jenius. Obviously, they have the same name. They're married. They're a couple. That's the reason why I got both of these together, and I'm going to review them together. Anyway, they do have 3 modes, and her name was Miria, and became Miria Sterling, I'm assuming, but Miria, Maximilian, Max, very similar name, but different last name. She was a Zentradi, one of the aliens that they were fighting. She became micronized, blah blah blah. They wanted to kill him, but they ended up falling in love and got married, and they were the first interspecial couple. They are 1/100 scale. So yeah, they're pretty small. Always been wanting to get a Veritech for a long time. Granted, I don't have one of the bigger ones, whatever, but I am planning on displaying these with my SDF-1 when I get back home at some point. On the side of the box, here we have Max and Miria. You have Hikaru Jiho, who was Rick Hunter. That was Roy Fokker. Oh, they didn't change the name, but they changed his name, whatever. And then standard set, I think that was also one Ben Dixon had. And then there's Miria, Max, and also Roy Fokker, but with the it's convention exclusive, but it's the has the strike parts. And so let's get these lovebirds out of their boxes. Alright, so I have both of them out of the packaging. I don't have all of the accessories out for both of them because, as you can see, there is a decent amount just for one of them. Granted, I did bring out the cockpit, alternate cockpit, well, the canopy and pilots for both of them, but only all the missiles and landing gear for one of them, and then the gun, of course, for one of them. There's the 2 minifigures, and then there's also the cockpit figures. They're pretty much identical, just different paint colors, of course. And then here we have the little people miniature figures of, they're the same, they're identical, the only difference is the color, but they're really well done, in my opinion. They don't stand up very well, obviously, because they have tiny little bases, but they look pretty nice. Then there's the stand. It comes in 1, 2, 3 pieces with alternate alternate things to go on them. This doesn't go directly on the stand, but this is connect the gun to the jet mode, and then this right here clips on the gun and holds up the jet, and then this is for gear walk mode, and then the one that's on there currently is for Battroid mode. They come with the standard closed fist hands, and there are alternate hands, one for the gun, but that is only the right hand, and then splayed hands for 2 alternate splayed hands for the left hand. One that's, I guess, less splayed and one that's more splayed, or I don't know, this one's smaller looking, and then this one has bigger fingers, so we'll take a look and see how those look differently. Anyway, I guess since I was messing around with Miria a little bit more, I'll just show off hers a little bit more in detail. Of course, I'll transform both of them, but not both on camera. They do feel a little bit flimsy. They're not super flimsy, but I would say still be careful when transforming them. And if you look, the thing that this swings on is plastic, not metal. So it is possibly more likely that it could snap or become stressed at the very least. That's why, honestly, I wouldn't mind having an original one, which would be very, like I said, pretty much identical to G1 Jetfire, although that one was modeled after Roy Fokker's, not this style. But it was, I do believe, metal right in here instead, like metal pieces. Yeah, so it was sturdier in that regard. Less articulated, of course, but sturdier overall. For articulation, the head is on a ball joint and there is a hinge down there, so it can look up pretty far, down really far. It can do a full 360. It does have wibbly wobbly, quite a bit actually, and there are the two antennae laser things can move up and down and back, as there are on a pivot point. And if you notice, the more you move them around, they do start to work their way out, so you can just press them back in. And then the hands are obviously ball joints, and you just pop them out, and then you can pop in an alternate hand. This one doesn't look too bad, I guess. Let's see what it looks like with the other alternate hand. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Ah, here it is. Bigger. And I guess this, okay, I guess the main difference is not necessarily, it's more of the angle. Because if you see this one is more like this. This one is more, I guess, if they're catching themselves when they're falling, I guess, to do more extravagant poses and stuff. Although the legs, I will say, don't have the best posability, but they're okay, I guess. For what, considering how it transforms and all that, it's not the worst posability. Anyway, back to the arms, back to articulation. The shoulders can go out about that far. If you count this, it goes out like that, but that's a little bit weird. Or like that. It depends on how you have this position, but there is, I guess, a fairly decent amount of rotation there. The full 360 bicep rotation, but both of these are on pegs. Like a lot of these joints are pegs, so they do slide out fairly easily. If you're not careful anyway, they tend to slide out. But considering how lightweight it is, I don't think you have to worry too much about actually breaking it. Although eventually they could come loose and then start to slide out. But nail polish, clear nail polish, stuff like that can help with that. Ball joints for the wrists, of course, allow a full 360. But there is no articulated fingers, which is fine with me, because like I said in the past, small figures do not need super articulated hands, because that's just asking for trouble, in my opinion. The standard pose that they come in with in the box is with their arms like this, but obviously there is no elbow bend that way, so you just rotate it like that. And for the gun hand, you just pop that off, pop this in, and then we have the UN Spacey pod gun, which is pretty cool. No strap to go around the shoulder, but whatever. I don't really care about that too much. And let's just go ahead and pop that hand back in. And I suppose we'll finish off the articulation. The hips, legs only go out about that far. There is very little outward rotation. I mean, obviously, because of these vents and all that, it's not going to be able to get very far. Forward, if you move the wings out, you can get quite a bit of back rotation and forward rotation. They can kick really far forward, really far back, but like I said, you have to have the wings open for that. Knee, over 90 degree bend there. There is no ankle tiltage. And, I mean, you can close up the feet if you want to, but you don't have to. And that's about it for articulation. Not the most articulated things out there, but they're okay for what they do and how small they are. Oh dear. Kind of have to clear my throat a bit, just like usual, I suppose. But this stand right here, since the tail fins fold up underneath, but they're not perfectly, they don't line up at the same point. This side is slightly wider than this end, and then you just clip that in right there, and it nestles in quite nicely right there. And then you have a Battroid on a stand, and then you can have them going pew pew bang bang if they have their gun on them. Pretty much the only weaponry on them in their Battroid mode is their handgun or their rifle, whatever you want to call it. And then if they happen to want to use the lasers on their heads, and then if they have their missiles on their wings. But realistically, I don't think they're going to be able to fire them very well in this configuration. So yeah, pretty much just they're meant for hand-to-hand combat with the Zentradi. Pretty much that's why that's the justification for the transformable planes, is because they have to fight giant aliens. Anyway, let's go ahead and get them, or at least Milia, transformed initially into the Gearwalk mode. So to do that, you pretty much get it half transformed, sort of. It's not quite half transformed because there's a little bit of backtracking, just a little bit, to get them back into the jet mode. But first things first, you kind of just want to get this flipped up and out of the way so you can remove the canopy cover shield, which protects the pilot. The inner cockpit can be removed, but I feel like it may as well just have it in there with the canopy and just put them together as one piece like that. And then the back, you just lift it, you just slide up ever so slightly to unhook this little tab from right in the back right there. And then you just want to kind of wiggle the head through this gap. There we are. Okay. I also want to have this lifted up just to provide a spot for the head to flip through, and then you rotate the head around so it faces forward, and then you clip this back in here. Come on, clip. There we are. And then clip. Come on, clip together. Press down. Leave this flipped down like that. And then you pretty much just leave the arms as is. Well, you can rotate them around a little bit, I guess, but because you are going to have the arms in Gearwalk mode. And you rotate back. Come on, rotate back. I feel like that's one reason why the antennas and this is made out of a relatively flexible plastic, is just to allow it to flex around the antennae just a little bit better, because it wouldn't, if it was metal, it'd be inflexible, and then that just wouldn't work out as well. But that is one, like I said, that is the only concern I really have, because of the extra stress it's gonna put on that part. But like I said, it's probably not the biggest deal, but it is a potential problem in the future after transforming these numerous times. Oh, and then I guess the last thing you want to do is just get the wings pulled out. If this was a larger scale, there'd also be like an antenna you'd flip out, and there'd be some extra steps. But since it's a smaller scale, that's not really an issue. And then let's go ahead and stand that up right there. Rotate that off, pull that off, and install the peg, which then goes in right there. Wiggle that in. Don't want to put it in too far because this is really lightweight. It doesn't really need a whole lot to support, and besides, it's possible it could get stuck. But you can rotate that down on the ball joint to get it in pose. And of course, in this mode, they would also still have access to the pod gun, which they also have access in jet mode. So it's pretty much, hey, same weaponry in all modes, because you still have the head gun lasers down here that you can that they can access. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get the jet mode. So of course you're gonna want to wiggle this off, hopefully without pulling the thing off the stand, because that's what happened last time. It got stuck, and that's another reason why I don't want to put them on too hard, because it does stay on very well, which is good. I mean, obviously you don't want it to just flop off. You pretty much just want to straighten out the legs. Now of course you're going to want to bring them back forward, as I mentioned earlier, just to ease up the transformation. But you pretty much just get them completely straight, and then you rotate them down, which I guess can also make it easier to get them perfectly straight. But get them all nice and straight, close up the feet, get them as lined up as possible, and then you want to get these rotated like so. Rotated like so. And then one thing it does say to do, which you don't necessarily have to do, but if you want it to look more like the show, because the hands do flip in on larger scale models, but it says to pop them off, but you can leave them on. It looks just as fine in my opinion with them on there, although that's especially if you're not looking at them from the back. But hey, if you're wanting to look at your Veritech from the back, well then I guess you'd want them removed. But as you can see, instead of just having a blank panel, it is 2 empty holes. And I guess I'll go ahead and put, well, since his hands are already on, I'll show what it looks like with the hands on for him, since I just removed Milia's Battroids or Veritechs hands. And then you just rotate and I maybe didn't mention, but you tab those together, rotate these back again, being mindful of the antennas and our gun. This says antennas, but they are guns. And then you just tab the legs into the side of the arms. Come on. Tab in. There we are. Okay. You just get them both tabbed in nice and tight. Make sure this is flush. This doesn't tab into anything. It just sits on top. And you flip up the tail fins. And then it just sits kind of like this. It doesn't go completely flush, but whatever, it still looks really cool. And I suppose I'll go ahead and put her on the flight stand, and I'll put the landing gear on Max's so we can see both of them in action. And to get the gun on, you just pull that off. On the original, or on the other toy, I don't know about the original, but this would slide in, further in. I mean, you can pull it out of the hand, but there's no point in pulling that out, because, you know, this is the only hand that can use it, so there's no point in pulling out the handle. And then you just collapse that up, and then take this piece right here, and it plugs into the base right here. You'll see a little hole right there, that slot where this tab goes into, and they just go in there. And now I haven't pressed it all the way in because I really don't want to risk snapping that peg off in there, but you put it in like that, and then this pegs in right where the forearms are. Just peg that in. I mean, it doesn't, if you look at it really closely, I mean, it does look kind of goofy, but from a perspective like this, from up here, it doesn't look bad. It does not look bad at all. And then this clips on like so. Now it does cover up the UN Spacey logo, but whatever. It's a way to hold this on the stand, and come on, wiggle on there. Okay, so, and also another reason why it's kind of a good thing that they are lightweight is because it's gonna be more stable on the stand. I know, like my dad, he's all for, you know, weighing things down, having things being hefty, but if it's something like this that you're going to more likely display, I feel like it's more appropriate in this case to do it like this. But it does look really nice like this. And one thing I did realize is I was like, wait a minute, there's actually another piece for the stand. You could also have one of them on just with this main piece on the base and have it on here, so you can have them at two slightly different heights if you want to do that. So now we have his fighter in jet mode as well. And as you can see from the front, it's not too obvious that the hands are back here. Obviously, if you look at from the back, or I guess from angles like this, you can see it. But from up here, it's not bad at all. You can't really notice them that much, so it doesn't look too bad. And especially if you're concerned about wearing out ball joints, I mean, this is a good alternative to just popping them off. Okay, now for the missiles, just peg them in. And one of them popped off. Okay. Note to self, maybe I should go ahead and glue these missiles on at some point, because that came off way too easily. And could get lost way too easily. But then again, I guess if they come off, then you could simulate the missiles being fired, or having a couple missiles missing from a tree at 3. I don't know if I'm pretty sure they could fire them individually, not, 3 at a time. So of course, there could realistically be a situation where you don't have 3 missiles on each. But since there's 4 of them and there's 3, that's a total of 12 missiles. So this is not with the strike parts. The strike parts, I don't know how much more armament that gave them, but there's like things that went on the sides, on the top. There's a lot more weaponry than there was on a standard Veritech. Anyway, for the landing gear, what you want to do is flip this down, place the front landing gear, which is the largest one, in this hole. Just push that in. And then for the smaller ones, which is really cool, is this panel just flips all the way around. Instead of flipping down, it just flips all the way around. And then if you look at these notches on here, they kind of go into these little slots just to make sure that, hey, you're putting it on the right side. And then just slide those in. And since, of course, if an airplane has its landing gear, it's going to be down on the ground, so it doesn't make sense to have him on his stand. They do come with stickers. It says decal sheet, but they're pretty much stickers. They both come with identical sheets, but on the instructions it specifies which stickers use for which Veritechs, and here we have them with the stickers on. The stickers are pretty much identical. The only difference is that her fighter has a different number. Yeah, but there's sticker here, 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 and then sticker here, sticker here, sticker here, sticker here, sticker here, and sticker here, and that's all the stickers that they come with. And the Milia's number is 303. And other than that, yeah, pretty much identical. So that's it for them. So if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.